following year, my wife became pregnant. In the August of that year, she went to a prenatal clinic and she was examined by the gynecologist, our own family doctor, and the midwife who was later present at the birth. She had asked if everything was all right. She was told yes. There was only one heartbeat, one set of limbs. On the 4th of October, a little girl was born. 10 minutes later, to everyone's amazement, the second girl was born. I was amazed to see that the younger girl had a scar which went right across the forehead and into the right eye. The younger daughter, who was killed, had the identical scar.
As the twins grew older, Mr. Pollock reports that unusual incidents strengthened his belief that the twins were the reincarnation of his first two daughters. The twins immediately recognized old items of clothing that had belonged to their two sisters. One recreated incident underlines his theory.
I found two dolls that had belonged to the two girls that had been killed, my younger daughters. The elder of the twins picked up a doll and said, "That is my Susan. I haven't seen her for a very long time." The younger of the twins went and picked up the other doll and she said, "That's my Mary, and I haven't seen her for a very long time." These twins had never seen these dolls in their life. They had belonged to their two sisters who had been killed. My wife and I brought the twins to Hexham, to an area well known to the two girls who had died. We brought them in proximity of the church and school. Coming along here, where there's a 4-foot-high wall, they were below the height of this wall. They couldn't see what was behind. As we approached, they turned around and said, "There's the school round here, where we used to go, and there is the playground behind it." They could not possibly see this from where they were, and you cannot see the playground in any shape or form from here because it lies behind the school. We proceeded on, and as we approached the Abbey gates, one of them turned to the other and said, "The playground's over here with the swings, where Mummy used to take us." And they turned and said, "Mummy, are you going to take us over there now?" You can't see the playground because it lies below that incline. It's impossible to see it from the road.
Today, the twins work in the family bookstore. It has been more than 21 years since their two sisters were killed. Do they agree with their father's belief in reincarnation?
No, not at all, no. Nothing, no different. No. Sometimes I feel like I'm somebody else, not myself. I don't think of my sisters either, really. I've got no doubt that we haven't been reincarnated to come back as our sisters.
From a series of unusual events, however, John Pollock has fashioned his own unshakable theory of reincarnation.
That my two daughters who had been killed had been reincarnated, they'd been given back. They'd been reborn to us. Outstanding evidence to me, which I looked for, I wanted perhaps, I don't know. But it was given to me and I accepted it as such, as proof.
For many of us, the memory of a past life exists only as fragmented images appearing in our dreams. Yet sometimes these images are so vivid in our minds that we feel compelled to investigate. Can we possibly verify the existence of a previous life?
Corus Abbey in Scotland, a favorite retreat for His Majesty King James IV of Scotland during his reign in the 16th century.
Oh, yes, I know this place. And I'm sure this rings a bell. And I'm sure I've been through that gate.
A.J. Stewart believes she is the reincarnation of James IV.
There's the little slipe and passage.
In Search of cameras were present when she arrived for her first visit to Corus.
And if you listen very hard, you can still hear them singing. And it's only yesterday. Well, to me, it's only yesterday.
James IV was born in 1488 and was crowned king at the age of 15. His prosperous reign ended tragically when he was slain on the battlefield of Flodden in 1513. The trail of her memories led us into the town of Corus itself. Had she been here before?
And there's the market square. Horses look much better. But always it was like this, of houses piled on top of each other. And always the roofs are like this. They're much later than my time, but...
These observations, although interesting, do not provide us with any conclusive evidence of her past life. The next stop was Traquair House, 50 miles south of Corus. A.J. Stewart said she had never visited here before. As she searched her mind, she became aware of disturbing recollections having nothing to do with her own life.
I have been dreading the journey down because I had an awful feeling it was going to look like I knew it did. And it does. The colouring on the walls is different. It was grey stone then. There was no Harling. And I didn't approach that way. I came across the old road where I'm sitting now.
How did A.J. Stewart come to believe that she was once a great king?
Well, it's a gradual process. I'd call it a life's remembering and forgetting, and then the remembering again. And the very sudden confirmation of it was in 1967, when I'd been fighting very hard against these memories that had been thrusting through all the days of my life, and I've been trying to suppress them.
We brought A.J. into the castle through the current entrance added after the death of King James. She said she was immediately disoriented and sensed that perhaps something was out of place. Her first impressions were correct, as this was not the entrance used by James IV. The king would have entered through the secret passage used only by royalty. We first brought A.J. into the room where the king is said to have slept.
They're right about this, you know. This was the king's bedchamber. History hasn't changed. It's like yesterday, and I could be lying down in that same bed. And the portraits, no, the portraits are after my time. These aren't my people, but the room is the height of the walls. That's right. And there's an oratory somewhere, is there not? There ought to be an oratory.
The king used to address his subjects from the balcony off the bedchamber.
This is the window to the oratory, surely. It must be. There's a window that's beyond, because always I must have an oratory.
Like a departed spirit returning home, she describes the room as she says it had been in the king's time.
And I know that fireplace, and there was a great...
But is this a past life memory, or simply imagination?
Not merely metal. There was a stone thing built round, because we had to screen off the heat, because even in the basket, you got this casting of the cinders and the things. But of course, they were kind of silken rugs that were put down for the king, and tapestries. I've been down this stair before.
Could A.J. Stewart, in a past life, have actually descended these steps, which led down a passageway to these stairs, which now lie in ruin, closed to the public? Or are all of her claims merely a romantic notion of history?
It's a place that hasn't changed since my time. The ground always feels like home on places that I have known. No matter what is built on them, the ground will feel the same. Just occasionally I meet a house and I think to myself, this is not nearly what it was like. This is really home to me, and this is my home to me in the 16th century.
Throughout much of the Eastern world, there exists the belief that all human spirits continue beyond physical death as part of the endless cycle of life. This concept is foreign to most Western minds. Like the Pollock twins, many of us do not accept such beliefs. But for others, such as Lucia Capacchione and A.J. Stewart, the possibility of past lives is beyond question.
Coming up next, In Search Of continues with a journey into the realm of dreams and nightmares. Then a Navy man poses as a Soviet spy in Operation Lemonade.